Hi, I'm Charla Booth, and I am the author of This Bitter Cup. I am the former theater teacher and director of Broad Ripple Magnet School for the Arts, which no longer exists, but when it was, it had an amazing theater department. Before that, I was the theater teacher and director at the Emerson School of Visual and Performing Arts in Gary, Indiana for 25 years. Currently, I teach at Christmas Addicts. I teach in the education pathway, and I'm just so excited to be a part of the fest this year. The idea for the play actually came from a rock. So there is a large rock that the students that I taught at Broad Ripple made. It was made out of chicken wire and paper mache, and it's just the kind of rock that you would sit on maybe by a pond. And it was the one thing that I took with me when I left Broad Ripple because it had sentimental value. And I always thought, someday I'm going to write a play and it's going to start out with a father and his son sitting fishing on this rock. And so when I decided to do a play for OnyxFest, I prayed. I was trying to get some ideas, and I remembered the rock. And so I started writing the play, the conversation with this father and his son sitting fishing on a rock, and the rest of it just came. Everybody knows pretty much that last year and the year before, I was affiliated with OnyxFest. I had a small role. I kind of helped out in the background. Last year was very difficult for me. I've been inside because of COVID since last March. So I had to see my grandchildren. I was teaching from inside of my home. I could not attend a single play, but I still managed to help out behind the scenes. I helped with the casting. I helped find prop pieces, and I did a lot of the technical work. The year before that, I worked with Mr. Williams and the play that he had about the Indiana Avenue story, and I kind of helped out behind the scenes for that. So I've always wanted to be a part of OnyxFest. The idea that this is a fest that's just totally for Black playwrights is just amazing to me. And so in the past 2 years when I worked with OnyxFest, I never thought I would be one of the authors, and I'm just so excited about this new avenue. I started writing the play with the intention of writing it for OnyxFest. And so I wanted to write a play that had messages that represented who I was, my truth, the struggle of Black people in America, women, Black women, people who needed healing, who've been through stuff and managed to overcome it. I didn't want it to be preachy, but I just wanted it to have a lot of messages. So as the play started coming together, things just started happening in it where that was allowed. I would lay in bed in the middle of the night and wake up and go, oh, I know the next line. And I would run to the computer and write the next line or two of the play. And then I had to wait until something else comes to me. And when the play was finished and I read over it, I felt so good. And I thought if I was sitting in the audience and I got to see this play, I would be so happy that I came. So I submitted it. But I submitted it under another name because I was affiliated with OnyxFest. I didn't want anybody to think anybody was playing favorites. So my middle name is Janan. So I chose the name Anjanae, and I put that as the person who had written the play and submitted it, and no one knew until after the plays had been selected that it was my work. And so that made me feel really good about it. When I was teaching theater for 34 years, I wrote lots of plays that my students performed. I even had published a children's operetta done to classical music. And so I've had things staged before, but they've always been children, and I always wrote them for youth. So this was my first foray into writing an adult play with adult themes, with adult characters. And so this is like stepping out for me. I also plan to start school in the fall. I'm getting a MFA, a Master of Fine Arts in Playwriting, and this is the piece that I used when I submitted my application. And so this is the beginning of a whole new journey for me. I want each member of the audience to take away something personal that strengthens them, that validates them, that gives them a slice of happiness from a slice of pain, if that makes any sense. I think that we as a people, black people, we tend to laugh through our problems and our pain. That's how we've always dealt with things. It's just to do the best we can and keep it moving. And so I want them to see this family that goes through these struggles and manages to come out of it better for having gone through it. And I think if they take that away, then they can apply it to their own life and their own situations. And at some moment when they're having a struggle or they're having a negative thought and they're thinking they're not going to overcome this, they can remember that we are a people of overcomers. I'm so excited about this Bitter Cup. I think it is a piece of theater that people don't see much anymore. I kind of wrote it in an old style. People would see plays back in the 60s and the 70s, and it kind of reminds me of that kind of feeling. It's earthy, it's rich, it's real, not a lot of pretense to it, just regular folks going through their regular life, and there's nothing regular about it.